And in explanations, it's gonna be like okay, so is it okay if we don't do call? I don't mind if we don't do a call, huh? That's a tricky question. Oh. Okay, so basically, what I mean by that, and what I mean about that it's not gonna be efficient, like if someone is concerned, because, well, I let him in beforehand anyway. So, the reason why texting sessions aren't great, I mean, texting sessions like question answers, because, well, what do I mean? There's a lot of things, like there is a lot of info that you can talk through. A lot of info that you can talk to, and just the things that you can tell instead of typing. Like the typing is quite bad, in the sense that you can't just send the same amount of info that you would do otherwise, like while talking. So while talking, I can just talk and talk and talk and talk. While typing is like, oh, you type, and it's not only boring, it's exhausting, and also most of the people simply, I don't know, speak faster than type, or they just are able to send more amount of, I don't know, of info by typing instead of texting. So that is like the reason why I don't like type. Okay, well. Let me see. Well, send. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And also the reason is why I would like to, well, let him talk, let me talk instead of like typing. Well, the other thing is, what I want to say. The other thing about that is, because I'm also recording this, if I'm gonna type to the guy, then you won't like hear the things that I'm gonna send, and also you won't see it. So like there is well, see, you basically won't see it, but you also won't experience it. And because I'm doing like a recording and such, then I'd rather just talk then, and even if he's gonna type, then it's fine, because I can just do it later on. Okay, so I need to call. Okay, call is here. Wait a second, what I need to do in order to call? Okay, I know. I need to get him accept on Discord, okay. And I will call. Okay, so just waiting for the Discord acceptances, and then I will call. I will call him, and even if I'm the only one talking, I can simply let you info, like let you know what he's asking about and what are like the questions and such. So that's fine. It's fine. So basically, still waiting for the beginning. And also the other thing is I'm just gonna see that he did it. Okay, I sent him the Discord info. Let's see. Let me see if I can connect via Discord. Once again, trying to do the call, but the call is like not going through. Well, anyway, if someone else have a question in chat there before the session happens, I can also answer that. So, okay, he's here now, so it's fine. Hello. So like I said, if you're uncomfortable talking or whatnot, then just feel free to type. Also, just let me know at the beginning that my spoken English is not great, so yeah, if there is something that you don't understand or want me to repeat, just let me know and I will try to explain it in other words or such. But yeah, that's for the beginning. So, even before the questions happens or whatnot, I will need to like spectate your in-game via Steam. So I will just send you invite like on the Steam to share screen the video, and then we can proceed. Also, like I said, you already have some questions prepared, so feel free to send them on either Discord or Steam, so I can already look at them, or we can do it also like one by one. But if you already have some prepared, then it's better to like send them all at once, so I can simply analyze them, because maybe some of them have like, I don't know, solutions that are applicable to each other, so I can answer like multiple questions at once or connect the topics between them. Okay, so the Steam is loading up. But okay, I got your screen preview. So I see you're already in game. So, well, I guess just finish the game for now. Like, I'm not gonna bother you before you finish, and then we can proceed. But since you're at 1 point of HP, I don't know you can win this. Well, we'll see after all. You have some options too, and your opponent have no cards in hand.
I think I'm gonna die.
Well, it doesn't look cool, but... Well, it's not over yet. As long as you can clear his entire board, then why not?
Well, he only has 2 fairies and 1 unknown. I have no idea what the other card is.
The bad thing is you can
He
use...
was rushing me with fairy driver.
Okay, so I got the questions, so... Yeah, just waiting for you to finish the game and then we can go through it. Okay, so the Steam kinda broke through, but yeah, just waiting for the Steam to like establish connection. The questions didn't come out in full. No, they did. Like I saw them. I saw all of them in the like stream section of the Steam, so no problem. There is like a button and where you can expand it. So I got like all 4 of them. So it's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Okay, so at the beginning, well, what is like your experience with Shadowverse? When did you begin? Like, when did you start playing Shadowverse? And what is like your rank and goal for now? What do you want to achieve, basically?
Let me check.
I'm also just doing this ambient music, so it's not like super empty and yeah, it's Shadowverse music after all, so it's just gonna be there. But waiting for him to answer me the stuff. Okay, also let me turn out the chat. So, well, while he's still searching for like the options or the answer to my question, you can, I don't know, type it on Steam, Discord, wherever you want. Like, any of these sources for answers is gonna be fine. Also, we just, I don't know, need to start.
Okay, then. Yeah, I'll do that. Just...
Well, they just serve a purpose. I mean, I just need to know a background for the beginning, like what is your experience, exit and such, because this is gonna lead to like better understanding, so I can better understand from what point are you like coming and what is gonna help you the most at the given point of time and of the rank. Because there are things that are applicable when you are beginning the game, there are things that are applicable when you are like a mid player, there are things for the late game stuff, and obviously you're not gonna learn every single piece of the game there is there to learn, because there are things that won't be relevant until like very late of the ladder or very late of that, so yeah.
In a couple of months, I'd say. Maybe 2-3 months.
Okay, I see. So your rank is D3. Amount of coins doesn't matter because, well, you are getting gold like on a daily basis. Same goes for packs. So this is perfectly okay. As for when did you begin, I said a couple of months. Okay, that's also fine. So rank is obviously on the lower tier, like from all of this, from D to A to Master, Grandmaster, that is like on the lower rank. So you don't rank too much, but well, how many games like per week are you spending on the game? Like, are you playing a lot of the game, or
I
you're
play
just playing
at
casually?
least once a day.
Okay, but by once a day you mean one game per day, or you are just going like, okay, I will do the session and 3 hours? And then
Yeah,
play
like a
multiple games?
session, and then relax and then go off.
Okay, so you're playing multiple games per day. That's fine. What is also... Do you have any experience, like previous ones, with other card games? Or physical card games, like, I don't know, maybe Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Hearthstone, something like that? Or Shadowverse is your first game?
Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, but nothing as complicated as Shadowverse so far.
Okay. And were you competitive in any of these games, or even some other esports games, or you were just taking this like casual, just playing and that's it?
Casual, like semi-competitive, nothing serious like any tournaments or anything like that.
Huh? Okay. And then, okay, so I got your rank experience and stuff, and what is like your current goal for now? What do you want to achieve in Shadowverse? What do you want to get? And obviously, besides the questions that you send me, like, what is that you want to get in Shadowverse? Do you just want to get better rank? Do you want to get better in this or that? Or there is any other reason besides like playing Shadowverse and trying to get better?
Get better so I can go competitive.
Okay.
It's a fun game though.
Sure. So, Okay, so we got the background. So, first thing first, to go competitive, you obviously need some decks. So you need cards. Without cards, you can't go far. Obviously, well, you can, but when you are signing up for tournaments, you need like between 2 to 4 decks. Well, some of the tournaments are like 4 decks, 1 band, best of 5. Some of them are like 3 decks, 1 band, so you need 3 decks. So what's like your status of your collection? Do you have a lot of cards, or you are just, I don't know, starting to build up your collection? How many decks you
I'm
can build?
building it. I'm trying to build it. Wait, can you see my cards at the moment? My
No, I guess I can try to send a request once more because there's like something that's saying that the connection could be stabilized. But I will send a request on Steam once more. Okay, so the Steam is saying to me that there is no way for like broadcast because the like connection cannot be stabilized. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know what is like your upload download, but that's fine. I mean, I don't need to see your collection at the moment because the thing that matters is how many like decks you can build or how many legends for the decks like in meta you have. So, for example, obviously for every tournament, you would rather go with meta decks than gimmick decks, and this leads to other questions. Because your rank is currently low, so are you playing any unranked games? I mean, it's not like a bad thing, but as a low rank, I mean, well, when you go to the like point system, you can see like there is the D, C, B, A, AA, Master, Grandmaster. So there is still a lot of ranks for you to overcome. No one is saying that you can't go competitive with a low rank, because rank is only an indicator of amount of games you are spending on ladder. But well, if you don't start at ladder, it's hard to go and start somewhere else. So you have to start something. So first thing first, what decks are you playing on ladder right now?
The decks I'm playing right now on ladder have been Blood, Leaf, Shadows, and Portal. Oh, and Swords occasionally.
Okay, so a lot of decks. So first thing first, you where do you get your decks? Like, are you building them by yourself or do you copy decks from internet?
I'm just building them by myself.
Okay, so you just have to stop it. I mean, it's fun and entertaining, but building your own decks from scratch is a thing that even a lot of pro players do like poorly, because that's the saying, and this is something that I'm always repeating. So every good deck builder will be a good player, but not every good player will be a good deck builder. So there's a lot of players who will just copy decks from internet and they will be amazing with them. They will just do good because they know how to play the game. But to build a deck, you not only have to be a good player, but you also have to have super good understanding, like really good understanding of the entire game, of how the metagame is shaped, of how every card in the game works, like all of the synergies, all of the things that are working towards counter picking. So counter picks, doing stuff that is relevant for any given card. So the decks have to be in perfect like synchronization. So each card in the deck serves a purpose. Like, so there is no dead cards, and that's there is a lot of things that these good deck builders can do. There's also another reason. So where there are popular decks on the internet, they are getting refined and refined with every tournament, every player. So someone might just copy a deck, change 1 or 2 cards, and it will be just fine. But if you build your own deck from the scratch, when you don't have this entire understanding of the game, nothing good can happen. Like, sure, it's gonna be fun, but it's not the way to go, like competitive. It's not the way to just start getting better. It's just bad direction, and even though it might sound unfun to just copy decks, it's the way
You'll
to go.
pick up bad habits or something.
Yeah, exactly. So it will be better with just copying a decks that are established and working decks, because there is like 2 things to the deck. If you build your own deck, there are 2 things that might happen. The deck might be good, but you might be playing it bad, or the deck might be bad and you might be playing it good, or you might be playing it bad. So there's like 2 factors. So it's the quality of the deck and quality of your gameplay. While if you copy the deck from someone who already established, like, yeah, this is a good working deck, someone who, I don't know, won a tournament with a deck or got high rank, like high grandmaster with a deck, then you can at least be sure that even if you are playing it good or bad, doesn't matter, because the deck by itself is gonna be good. So at least one of the factors, so deck and player, the deck is gonna be good, and it's already a big help for you. So first thing first, you need to find the decks that are the most efficient for the meta. At the moment, they are Rune, so Runecraft, Bloodcraft, and Shadowcraft. Not Bloodcraft, Jesus, sorry. Bloodcraft is one of the worst. So in rotation, it's Blood. Yeah, I keep saying Blood. Yeah, it's not Blood. It's Shadow, Rune, and Dragon. So Shadow, Rune, and Dragon are like the three giants at the moment. These are the decks that are simply the best. And if you just go and see the results of the tournaments, so there are sites that you can use. I don't know with which like sites of the Shadowverse community are you familiar with. I don't know also what is your understanding of the Japanese language. So if you are not familiar with Japanese, you can go to the Beigum site. I will send you a link, and just go to the decks, and there is this YOTCG tournament deck. So I will send it on Discord. So this is basically, on this site, they are showcasing a lot of tournament decks from YOTCGs, and these are the decks that are working just fine. So you can just see how many Dragons, Shadows, and Rune are there, and you just have to pick a deck, copy it, and that's it. That's it for the deck. So now it all gonna come down to whether you have the resources to build up the deck or not. If you don't, then you can try working towards it, but there is a chance that you will have some spare vials to create Shadow, for example. Because Shadow and Rune, these decks are not super expensive. Dragon is really expensive from the rotation, so yeah, Dragon always is gonna be expensive thanks to the amount of legendaries the Dragon is playing. But Shadow is not really expensive, same goes for Rune. These two decks are not extremely expensive. I would say Shadow is probably cheaper, but I'm not sure at the moment. Because the decks... Okay, Shadow is probably more expensive because of the new legendaries. But Rune is cheap, and Shadow is cheap. And if you're able to create one of them, just pick an established working deck and stick to it. And by stick to it, I mean, you said you play a lot of class on ladder. And for example, you mentioned Bloodcraft and Portal. So there are statistics. So on Reddit there are threads like Shadowlock reports. Someone is translating them to English. So once again, if you're unfamiliar with Japanese, you can go to the English translations, and people are doing it. So Blood and Portal have like super low win rate at the moment in rotation, and that's the reason why you should avoid them. Like, you shouldn't play decks that have bad win rate. Obviously, it might sound fun, they might be fun to pilot, they might be fun to play, they might be entertaining, and you might enjoy them, but the thing about them, if they are bad on ladder, then why play them? You're not gonna get ranks by playing bad decks. Sure, you will get some fun, you will get some enjoyment, but if your goal is to go competitive, semi-competitive or whatever, then you should avoid the decks that have bad win rate. Because it's just not gonna help you.
Okay.
It will simply stop you, and it's like playing with, I don't know, not playing, it's like running with weights on in a competitive race. You're simply doing some stuff that prevents yourself from getting better, and it's not the way. So that is one reason of why you should just play good decks in general. So which decks out of this, like Rune, Shadow, you can look at the builds right now. Which are you able to build one of these decks, for example?
I'm in a game right now, but I'll check as soon as I finish it. Maybe I can probably build a Shadow deck because I've got a lot of Shadow cards. Just depends on how much legendaries, because I only have 5k Val, so I'm not sure.
Okay, 5k...
If I can buy or not.
No problem, 5k is not much, but that depends on how many legendaries for the class do you have. Like, depends on the Ektars and Aisha, because Ektars are a must. If you don't have Ektars, so the mono of Ektar, there is no reason to play Shadow, like without them. As for Rune, the only legendary that is played right now is Wizardress of Oz. But Rune have a lot of gold cards, So Levi summoning mutagenic bolts. But yeah, both of the decks are not super expensive, so it's just up to you which decks are you gonna choose. And
Okay.
okay, and that's probably for the rotation. So the other thing is, like the first question, structure of the current meta, unlimited general idea of rotation. So the thing is, you just have to choose one format for now. Because if you try to learn both things at once, it's just not gonna be easy. Because both formats have different deck lists, have different decks and different classes that are efficient in them. And if your collection is not super big, then the chances are you won't be able to build efficient decks in both formats at once. You just have to do it step by step, and for now, you just have to decide on the format. I would say the rotation is probably the cheaper one, because in Unlimited you have all of these cards, while the rotation is lacking to expansions. So rotation doesn't have Darkness Evolved, and rotation doesn't have standard classic packs. So rotation have probably cheaper decks, and is easier to get into. Also, there is probably more materials and articles about rotation at the moment that you can find, because, well, when a new player is coming up to the game, they are gonna pick up rotation just because it have fewer expansions, and because it's like easier to get into, and it's more popular. So I would recommend just choosing rotation as like your desired game state. And for now, that depends on how much time you have, but the thing is, you can reach Master, for example, like a new player can reach Master within 2 weeks. That obviously depends on how much time they are playing and on the win streak and such. So I'm not telling you like, oh, you have 2 weeks from now. But realistically, before the next expansion, so the next expansion is coming in 2.5 months, even if you are D rank now, you can easily go to Masters before the new expansion. So yeah, it's a lot of time, and the goal is not to set up high, but to do it, you have to refine like some playstyle and refine the decks. So the steps would be to choose a class you want to rank up with, to build a deck you want to rank up with. So we already have this flow, either Shadow or Rune are good. Haven is also okay, but Haven is not the fastest deck, and the Haven requires a lot of understanding of the meta, because Haven have cards that are proactive and reactive. So you have to react to like play accordingly to whatever cards your opponent might play. Not that they play, but might play, because you have to play around all of this stuff. It's like playing with counter magic in card games where you have answers. So Haven is not the easiest to get into. Shadow is quite simple. Rune is also quite simple. So not also the decks like Shadow and Rune are good, but they are also not super hard to learn. So yeah, it's like all adding up. They are fast, efficient, easy to play. So with these kinds of deck, you can easily get better ranks. So the only things that's left is time and commitment. So you said you're playing like doing 1 session a day. I don't know how many games are you playing per day, but obviously ranking up is not gonna happen if you don't spend enough time. So I don't know how much of a free time you have, but if you are thinking about going like semi-competitive, there you must just sacrifice some of the time and spend it on playing the game, on improving your basics, learning the metagame. Because the thing is, the metagame right now, you can see some tier lists, but even if you see the raw list, like the deck list, and you know the decks, it's still not enough. You just have to experience it by playing the game. So you play the game, then you learn how the other decks are being played. So you will learn all of the moves, how the deck can beat you, how can you beat the other deck. You learn some tips and tricks with the decks. So you are just doing all of that in order to just have a knowledge what to do in any given moment. So that's the other reason why you should just choose and play 1, maximum 2 decks, because you are not gonna master all 7 classes, and like let's say some classes are gonna have 1 or 2 archetypes, so it would be, well, let's assume even 3, 2 to 3, depends on the class. So let's even just go with the easy version, 2 archetypes. it's like 8 classes with 2 archetypes per each. It would be 16. You are not gonna master all of the archetypes in the game in a short amount of time. So if you just master one deck, it's gonna be better than knowing the deck. Like, let's say you know the deck 5 stars of 5 stars. You learn one deck and you are master of it, you know what to do in every situation, and even if your opponent is playing rogue deck or a cheesy ones and something that you did not play before, you still at least know your deck to such extent that you will be able to deal with situations that were not present to you before. While if you know the deck for, let's say, like 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 5 because you didn't play enough, you didn't commit enough to learning it, or you simply didn't play enough games to learn all of the tricks of the trade for the deck, then you might be taken out by surprise and you will lose a lot of games just because of lack of experience. So that's the other reason why you should just go with 1 or 2 decks and master them, because that's the best way. Also, the other thing is, obviously we'll get nerfs in the game, so not shortly, like 20 days from now, well, 18, something like that. On the end of the month we will get some nerfs or buffs, that depends. Well, basically some changes to the card. So we don't know what might happen yet to the cards, what is gonna be nerfed, but that means for next like 2.5 weeks you are still having a good spectre of the game. So even if you commit to the deck right now and it gets nerfed later on, you can still disenchant or vial the core cards for the full value, so you won't lose it. Also, because the deck is still gonna serve its purpose, it's gonna help you grind, it's fine to craft cards for it. So don't hesitate to spend your vials, don't hesitate to disenchant the cards that are not used in the format or the cards that are objectively bad, and just vial them. And also the other thing is, if you're starting, a lot of people are like, they like shiny cards. They like the cards like the foil one, the animated ones. But if you need to expand your collection, it's better to let go of that like sentiment and just disenchant the animated ones, because they are giving a lot of vials and they are giving a lot of power. So if you have a normal version and animated version, just let go of the animated one. Sure, it looks shiny, it looks nice, but it is the very same card, it is serving the very same purpose, and in the end you will just get much more vials and you can just craft the cards that you need for your decks instead of just getting a shiny version. So yeah, I know some people will just like them and they're like, oh no, I like my shiny cards and what to do, but that's it. Like, they are doing the very same thing as the normal one, so unless you can afford, entire collection, entire meta decks and such, it's not the best way to keep them. It's the best to just get rid of them, and yeah, that will go for animated ones. So that's like the basic of the unlimited rotation. So to put it in simple steps, choose one deck, master it, choose one format, play only in this format, and obviously build a full deck. There is no reason to play with a deck that's not completed. There is no reason to build your own deck if you don't have the mastery of the entire game. So yeah, pick a deck, pick a format, and grind until you get a better rank. So that will probably close the question number 1 about what to do with unlimited and rotation. And unless you want me to expand on like unlimited rotation differences and other thing, I guess I can go to the next one. Like, next question.
Please do.
Okay. So the second one, terminology of card building curves and stuff. So this just comes with knowledge of card games general. So not only Shadowverse, but Shadowverse is like a lot of card games at the moment, like the not Cyber, the online card games. So Hearthstone, Shadowverse, Elder Scrolls Legends, Duelist. Most of them are based on the Magic the Gathering core. So Magic the Gathering was like still is like a mother game to all of the modern card games, and it's a card game that developed during the race, because Magic the Gathering is, like I said, it's like over 20 years old or something, well, even older. And the thing about Magic is most of the terminology just comes from Magic, and these card games, like the one that we have on PCs and mobiles right now, like the mobile card games, are using the very same things that were established within the genres. So, for example, curve. It refers to the mana curve, like that's probably the best reference, and it's about just building your deck. So when you build your deck in Shadowverse or on the pages where you have the deck buildings and such, you will see these charts which will say like for 1 mana you have this amount of cards, for 2 mana you have this amount of cards, for 3, etc, etc. So it will say to you how many cards per like mana points you have, and it's referred to the mana curve. So it's simply a graph which is showcasing how many cards per any given play points you have, and like that's it.
Okay.
So you can easily see how it fares. So ideally you would like to, that depends on the type of deck. So for example, for aggro you will see the mana curve being really high at the beginning, so 1 to 3, sometimes 4, you will see a high amount of creatures, then obviously you will high amount of creatures, well, high amount of cards, and then for the later slots, like the mid and late game, you will see none. For the mid-range decks, well, like the name suggests, you will see some cards in the early range, a lot of cards in the mid-range, and, well, some cards at the later, like part of the curve. For the control is expensive stuff, with a lot of tools, and obviously, well, like the name suggests, it's trying to control the game by the tools that they have, and since the tools are expensive, for example, Dragon. We have Ramp Dragon in Shadowverse. You will see a lot of cards that are on the later part of the curve. So there is some cards that are cheap, some cards in the mid range, and obviously some cards in the later. But all in all, mana curve is just the name of the graph for this deck. Like it's referred to the mana curve, even though in Shadowverse, for example, we don't have mana but play points. It's referred as a mana curve in Elder Scrolls Legends, even though they have Magicka in it and no mana, etc, etc. So, yeah, it's just terminology. So basically, if you want to learn the terminology of the card building, the best place you can go is to find an article about Magic the Gathering, like just type Magic the Gathering MTG terminology or card games terminology in Google, and I bet there will be some articles that will explain the stuff. Also, the really good article is about like the metagame clock from the Magic the Gathering 2. So let me check. I guess I can find it, and I will send it to you on Discord. So wait a second. It will also explain a lot of stuff. Okay, understanding the metagame. I don't know if that's probably not. So wait a second. I will find it. Okay, so this is like the new version of the article, but it's still well explaining a little bit. So yeah, that's the first article that will help you with the terminology, like the one that expands of the archetypes and how they are faring against each other. And the other one, let me see, I will just find for you, why not? Okay, so there is a wiki page, but yeah, Wikipedia page is bad about it, I guess. Yeah, Wikipedia is bad. Like they don't have this much amount of stuff that's needed. Like it's really bad. Actually, let me see the wizards page. Okay, there is also one on Wizards page, so the like main page for Magic the Gathering. There you have it. So I sent to you, and obviously a lot of the stuff that is there will refer to Magic the Gathering, but that's fine. Like this is perfectly fine because that's what you need to understand to grasp the concept of the card games as a whole. So this is a knowledge that is interchangeable and you can apply it to simply a lot of card games. So any new card games that you are gonna play, you will use this knowledge and it will help you. And because you said you played Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, that means you already know some of the terminology or you should probably already know, like, I'm assuming you know some of the terminology that is there, so it will just help you become more familiar with the topic.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so these are the basic links. So yeah, there is like no magic key to it. You just have to just read some definitions and then you will learn the terminology. So that's a problem. The question number 3, building better decks. So I guess I already expanded on the topic, so it doesn't need like much addition to it. Besides, like, don't learn to build better decks, just copy decks for now if you want to improve. If you want to learn how to build better decks, then first thing first, you have to be in position where you just know the entire metagame, you know all of the decks, you know all of the cards, all of the synergies. So I'm assuming right now you are not in that place in Shadowverse, like you probably don't know all of the stuff that's needed. So just don't try to grab the whole concept. First, get better with one deck, with one class, like get ranks with it, and then when you master one class, just move to the other and other and other, and then when you have a lot of concepts, like you grab the concept of all of the classes, maybe not of all of them, like even majority of them, then you will be fine. Also, just assume that when you master one class or master 2 classes, then you will probably be in a position where you can build good decks for that class, because you will know, like you will notice about, like, no, let's imagine the amount of games, 500, 1000, whatever. You will play a lot of games with one class, you will understand how the class as a whole is being played, what cards are making this class good. So for example, why Ektar in Shadow is good, why Skeleton Synergy in Shadow is good, or why Wizardess of Oz, why Burn Rune is built like that. Like all of these small things, you will notice them, and then you will grasp the knowledge of the class, and it will help you create the decks for that class. So yeah, that's like it for the building one. Okay, so let me go to the 1-4. So how long does it take on average for a Shadowverse player to go professional? So first thing first, unless you are living in Japan or like Asian countries that have this sweet Grand Prix or whatnot, like the one we had in Singapore, I believe. For Western players, and by West I mean every country like outside of Asia, so America, Europe, that's like Western for the Shadowverse. So unless you are living in the Asia region and Japanese in particular, then for the Western players it's hard to say what does it mean to be professional, because there are no like... Well, the game is fresh. The game is still fresh. We had 1 year celebration in 2017. We'll have 1 year, like second year celebration, like I don't know, 8-9 months from now. I don't know when was the celebration, but yeah, the game is still fresh, and there are no like established teams with paychecks as far as I'm concerned. Sure, there are some teams that are like semi-professional and maybe they have the payments for the player, but there is no any given road that is saying like, okay, you do this, this, this and this, and that's how you become professional. Not quite, because we don't have enough tournaments. Right now the tournaments that we have are like, yeah, you can laugh at them.
Fan stuff.
Huh? Sorry?
Fan stuff.
Oh,
Fan
yeah.
tournaments. Nothing official.
Yeah, there is not much that we have. Exactly. So the thing is, you can't simply live off of Shadowverse by just playing tournaments alone if you are a Western player, because there is not enough tournaments with enough payment to make you like financially stable. So there is a lot of players that stream, but stream is also, well, unless you are like the biggest streamer, and for Shadowverse that still means a lot of like small viewership compared to Hearthstone, compared to like other card games. Or other games rather, because card games as a particular don't have the biggest viewership, but whatever. So in Shadowverse it's really hard to live off of it unless you win a really big tournament. So for example, we have this World Grand Prix. We will have some new game mode and some like more prizes, some more Grand Prix, but we still need to wait for the announcements. So basically, there is hard to say that one can become like a pro, but to just play competitively, so to enjoy tournaments, to play in tournaments, and just fare good in them. So just, I don't know, get some places. There is also no given amount of time, because that depends on the player. There will be some people who will just pick up the game, get masters in 2 weeks, then go to the first tournaments and get some cash. Like, for example, that was me. What I did. And my friend also did it. Like, we were one of the first to pick up the game in Poland professionally, and we were just like, oh, let's play this, let's do this, and we did. But that's because we had a lot of card background, so we played competitively in other card games, and that's what helped us. But there will be players who will just pick up Shadowverse. They will play a year or so, they are playing a year or so, and they are still struggling with rank, because they are not like doing what it takes to go competitive. So it will vary from player to player, there's no given amount of time, but like I said, before the next expansion, so 2.5 months, you can definitely get masters if you just focus on one deck and master it, so you can definitely grind to master. Then, because you will be grinding, you will also gain enough gold to build other decks, so you can definitely build like 3 decks, 4 decks, that depends, but definitely 3 decks, and you can play in tournaments. So there is nothing that preventing you from joining the tournaments. Sure, the tournaments right now does not offer big prizes, and there is no big prize pool in terms of, I don't know, money or any other things, but you can just join and play tournaments to gain experience, and that's like the best way to go competitive fast. Just play in as many tournaments you can, because tournament environment is different than the other ones. You will play in a different format because you will play versus the same opponent, like best of 3 or best of 5 matches, depends on the tournament, and you will just notice that it's different. Tournament decks are slightly different than the other ones sometimes because they have some tech cards, but usually you can easily do ladder decks on tournaments, or you can do tournaments deck in ladder, and it's not gonna be too much of a difference. Besides, like I mentioned, besides the tech cards. Anyway, if you are able to construct the meta, like the tier decks, 2 or 3 of them, then just join tournaments. Because if you have time, there is nothing stopping you from like joining the tournament, and that's it. Just join it, play in it, take notes of like what went wrong, what went good, and what not, and just rinse and repeat. Just do it over and over, so keep joining tournaments, keep playing in them, and eventually you will either find yourself in a position where you know, like, I did this wrong, so I need to improve this, I did this wrong, or I did this good, so I need to work on the other aspects, etc, etc. So you will know your answers by just playing the game. Like, you will be self-aware of what you need to do, or you will simply succeed. Like, there is no reason why you can't succeed. Anyone like can succeed, and that's just up to the tournaments. And obviously tournaments are gonna be a lot like ladder. So for example, in ladder you will just lose some games to the bad RNG, bad draw and whatnot, and the same can happen in tournaments. But the more tournaments you play, or like the more ladder you play, because that's the same, the more you will start seeing that it does matter for a single game. So for example, you can get super unlucky in one game, you can, I don't know, like draw all of the expensive cards in your deck, or brick, or don't draw for the turn you want, or RNG will go badly, because there are some RNG cards like Necro Assassin, for example, Larching Corpse in Shadow, so these are like RNG cards, and it won't go in your favor, and you will lose some games to it, but you will also win a lot of games thanks to this. So sure, you can lose one game, do it to bad RNG, you can lose 2, you can lose 3, that's fine, but if you play thousands of games, for example, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, then you will notice that this RNG does not matter that much. So you will still win more games if you are a better player, but it's not applicable to single game. So if you put a world champion versus a new player in Shadowverse, obviously considering that they will both play like tier decks, there is a chance that in a single game, in a 3 games, in a best of 5 game, best of 7, even 10 games, that the beginner will have a better luck and will win. But the more you increase the amount of games they play versus each other, then the more skilled player will win more. So this is the beauty of the card games, and especially like the cards in general, like the online ones, so Hearthstone, Shadowverse, Elder Scrolls, etc. Also, that's just because these games are kinda easy to pick up. Like for a new player, it's easy to understand the mechanics and what cards do, and also because of the powerful effects. I guess Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, as you were playing them, it's not that simple. I mean, it's not that simple for a new player to beat a more experienced player because of the complexity of all of the rules and the things that you can do. So the more advanced is the game, the more expanded the rules are, and the more hard to get the game is, the more the skill will be relevant. But if the game is simple to pick up, so Hearthstone Shadowverse, that means that in single game, skill won't always win. Sometimes the RNG or draw win. But if you increase the amount of games played between these players, then obviously more skilled one will win. So yeah, that's just the part of tournament experience. That's the part of the ladder experience. Also, you probably noticed that as you play on ladder, sometimes there will be games where you feel like you did all you could and you still lose because of some RNG, draw, and whatnot. So the other thing is, the other advice is to not tilt over these games. I don't know if you're tilting sometimes or not, or I don't know, lacking the incentive to play, but just don't mind these games. They will happen. They are happening to anyone. Every player is experiencing them. So yeah, just brush it off and play other game. Because as I already said, more games you play, the more the skills becomes relevant. So you just have to grind and over and over. And that is the other thing that's coming with Shadowverse. Because in Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, you don't need to play multiple games over and over and over. For example, if you play tournaments, sure you can, but no one is forcing you to. While in Shadowverse, if you want to grind ranks, you need to play hundreds and hundreds of games. Players that go to Masters, usually they go there between 500 to 800. It's considering a good score, but a lot of them are coming there by over 1000 of wins, and that already speaks for itself. Assuming they win thousands of games and they had positive win rate, and let's say, I don't know, they lost 500, it's still 1,500 of games, so that's a lot of games, so that's a lot of time, that's a lot of commitment. I don't know, how many games you have as a wins right now on your profile?
Let me check.
Okay.
36 Shadow, 11 Blood, 9 Portal, and 4 for Leaf.
Okay, so even if we add it up, it's still, I believe it's still less than 100. So you are still in the point of the game where you're beginning, and the grind is gonna become more and more relevant. So that's the other thing. Not every person is suited to it. I mean, there are players, it's up to you obviously, but there are players who just hate grind. They just hate playing one deck over and over and repeating it all the time and just doing it mindlessly, because the grind sometimes becomes mindless. You just spam the deck, you play multiple games per day with the very same deck. Sometimes the result won't be there, but it's just up to the matter of the amount of games you play. So from the amount of games you just said you have as a wins on your profile, you will still play more and more and more. So I would say 10 times this amount, or probably 20 times this amount that you have. So yeah, just be prepared for a lot of grind and a lot of obstacles, because it won't come easy. It's not easy, but anyone can do it. It just requires a lot of commitment, and that's it. For it. So I don't know, I guess I would expand on the question number 4. I probably explained all of the basics. So I don't know, are there any new questions that you want to ask about, or something that might be emerged during this explanation?
Could you help me with finding a good and easy and low cost inval deck that I can use?
Sorry, which class?
A low costing Val deck.
Okay, low costing Val deck. So, okay, wait a second. So, I saw. Okay, so you had 5k, right? If I recall correctly. 5k vials. So, for example, let's see. Faster turn, Midrange Shadow. I will just open the decks that are first on the Bacon side. So, for example, Room costs 20,000, Shadow costs 27, and you already just go to the Begum site I sent you. Open like the first rune deck and shadow deck. Don't check dragon, and then you can like open multiple runes and shadow decks. Check what common and like silver and bronze cards do you have, because there is a chance that you will have some silver and bronzes. So when we are talking Shadow is running some gold cards, Rune also is running some gold cards, but I believe the Shadow is the less expensive one, because in Shadow you need 4 legendaries. In Rune you need 3 legendaries only, but so that depends if you have Wizardress or if you have Ektars and Aisha, because Aisha is also needed. But the other thing is...
I don't have those guys yet,
okay.
So I need to work on getting them.
Okay, so if you have some of them, then obviously it's making the cost of the deck cheaper. The other thing about it is you can just go and disenchant all of the like animated ones if you have normal copies. That's what I already told you, so you don't not need to do it like right now, but later on. And the other thing is, if you don't plan to play unlimited. So, for example, right now, if you don't want to play in unlimited or you don't want to play in rotation, but well, rotation is the way to go for the moment because unlimited have more formats, you can also vial the unlimited cards. Because the thing is, even if they are cards that are being played in unlimited, you are not gonna use them in the main format. So yeah, you can just disenchant all of this like standard packs and Darkness Evolves packs because they are not being played in the format that you are gonna play. So by the time you expand your collection to build tournament decks and build other stuff, then you will already have some unlimited cards anyway, because you will open packs over and over and they will accomplish that. So you can get rid of all of the Darkness Evolved, you can get rid of all of the standard card packs, and yeah, just don't feel any sentiment, just dust them off. I don't know how many of them you have, even if they are like legendaries and what's sure, if they are animated legendaries, then well, yeah, this is nice, but other than that, you can get rid of the cards that are unlimited but not rotation, so Darkness Evolved and standard. And if you don't have enough vials for the deck, then obviously just I don't know, did you complete every of the quests? Like, did you play it versus every Allied 2? Did you play like 20 friend games?
I've done all of the Elite, but I haven't done 2 yet.
Okay, so just do the Allied 2, because they are not really hard. I mean, if you just build a deck, like, even if you don't have enough cards, and just try to your best to build a deck with the cards that you have, and just replace some of the lacking ones with the others, then beat the Elite 2. Beating Elite 2 is like 14 packs, because you will get 1040, because you can't beat Portal. You can beat Portal only on Elite, like normal one, but there is no Portal on Elite 2, so yeah, it's lacking. Anyway, if you beat all of the Elite 2s, it's still 1 and 4000, so 1400, so 14 packs, so this is 14 packs that you can get for free. Did you play with 20 friends, like the quest with Play a Friend?
No, I don't. No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is another task for you before building a deck. Do this, and you will get 100 gold per every individual player you're gonna play. There is a thread on Reddit. There is also, you can, I don't know, go on Facebook and go for something like Shadowverse community. There is like an English page. You can go on Discord. On Discord, they also have their own like threads, topics, and whatnot, where you can just ask for friendly game. And for every individual player, because you can play with one player only once, like with a certain one, so you need 20 different players. For every game you do this, you will get plus 100. So this is like 20 packs plus 14 from the Elite 2s. So this is already 34 packs. With 34 packs, this is gonna expand your collection by a lot. So this is really gonna help you with building the decks. So that's one thing. Did you complete all storyline modes, like versus AI?
I finished all the storyline, yeah.
Okay, so this is fine. So basically, right now, like your task before completing the decks is beating the PCs, playing with the friends. Sure, it will get boring, but it's just to expand your collection. So yeah, this is definitely worth it. And with these 34 packs, I would still say one of the best packs to buy is Starforge Legends, because of amount of good cards that are there. Like Starforge Legends was an expansion with like huge amount of good cards. Chronogenesis is also cool, but I don't know. Starforge Legends is fine, so Starforge Legends, Wonderland Dreams, or you can just buy, let's say, you can split the amount, like buy, for example, I don't know, 14 packs of Chronogenesis, 10 packs of Starforge, 10 packs of Wonderland Dreams, because the pack that is gonna rotate next is gonna be Rise of Bahamut, then it's gonna be Tempest of the Gods, so it's like still half of the year, well, 9 months basically, it's still 9 months because before the Wonderland Dreams rotate. So don't buy Tempest, don't buy Rise of Bahamut, definitely, because these are gonna rotate fast. But Wonderland Dreams, Starforge Legends, Chronogenesis, just focus on these 3. For example, look from which expansion are the cards that you need for your deck, like if there are like silver, golds, commons or not, buy packs from this expansion, and that's it. This is just gonna help you build decks like in a fast way. So that's the other thing that you can focus on right now. And
Okay.
the last thing, well, okay, not the last thing, but let me hear what you have to say next. Like, do you have any other like questions, or I don't know? For now.
No, it's okay. There's none I can think of.
Okay, sure. So, like the thing that I'm doing like every time, and I'm recommending the thing to every player out there. Did you read the book Playing to Win?
No.
Okay, then I will send it to you on Discord right now. So not everyone likes reading like the ebooks, but I don't know if it's still in physical copy, because this book have like 70 years or so it's really old, and it makes analogies from fighting games, from like the games of the time, like the year 2000. Yeah, it's super old, so it makes a lot of analogies, but these are transcending the formats, transcending the games that are still applicable today, because the game takes a lot from the Art of War. Like, you obviously heard of Art of War, I believe. Like, this is the game, yeah. So it's taking a lot from Art of War and transitioning it over to the card games. So I'm not telling to you to like read the entire book like right now, but just read the introduction, like read the beginning, like maybe 1 point at a time. Like, I don't know, you can read 1 page daily. This is not super long book, like this is really short, but just read, I don't know, 1 article daily, or even 1 every 2 days. I don't know how many times you have and what are you doing like in your daily life, but it's easy to, I don't know, read it on the bus, or read it on the ride, or read it in your spare time, or read it before going to sleep. Like, yeah, that's there is a lot of time where you can just try to fit it in. And this is a book that simply helps you with mentality aspect, and it will set you up for winning the games. Because if you aim to go competitive, sometimes you have to brush off this aspect of the game being fun and enjoyable. Sure, it can be fun and enjoyable, but for a lot of players, fun and enjoyment comes from winning, like winning the games. And that's why when you aim to go competitive, it's one of the like best introduction to going there. So this will just help you set you up, and just help you recognizing the mentality that you need in order to, I don't know, withstand the heavy grind, or find your own playstyle. Because there is a lot of playstyle possible, like there are also listed there. So there's like snakes, turtles, invisible and the beast, and whatever. And this will just help you understanding this not only in Shadowverse, but in other card games, in other esport games, in a lot of aspects of life also. So I know most of the people I recommended it to enjoyed it, and it really helps. It really helps. So this is probably one of the best like small books. Like, it's, like I said, it's not super large one, so it's easy to read. This is something that will really help you understanding a lot of basics. So that's like my best recommendation for now, as for what you should do. So to sum it up, do all of the quests, open the packs, try to build one of the decks. So Shadow or Rune, depends which do you like the most, and which deck you find the most enjoyable. Also, if you don't know how the deck is being played, you can check the streams. So you can go to like Shadowverse and find streams, like find players who are playing this deck, just watch some gameplay, and then you will see like, okay, I like this deck, or I don't like this deck. I don't know, just choose something that at least you like for a beginning, because there is no real difference in win rates. I mean, yeah, there are some, but win rates and how they are being played is gonna matter later on. Right now, at your rank, just pick a good deck. So just pick Shadow or Rune, because these are like the two best at the moment to just get into it, because Dragon is too expensive. So pick a deck, play with a deck, try to improve with your rank, and then if you will have like any further questions, I don't know, feel free to hit me up on Discord, and maybe there will be something that I can help. But also remember that you have to play a lot of games. So it's not like you can play 10 games or 20 games and be like enough. No, like you need several hundreds of games before you come to understanding of all of the aspects of the game. So I'm saying it right now, it's not gonna be easy. Sometimes it's not gonna be enjoyable, but if you do it, it will definitely improve. So yeah, that's probably all there is to it. As for the process.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. Like, it's fine. I hope you enjoy it. Also, like I said, you can watch it later on. So if you want something like to hear over and over, it's gonna be like on my socials. So you can check the recording later on. And yeah, so if you have no other questions, then let's call it a day for now. And just feel free to message me anytime, like if you have a problem in the future. But I believe right now you have like a set road, so quests, decks, etc. What to do, and that's probably what you should focus on. Okay, so I don't know. Have a good night and good luck in your ladder adventure, and rather, well, Shadowverse adventure, I would say.
Thank you.
Okay, so see ya, bye. Okay, so that would be it for this session. So the player was one of the players that is trying to get into the game, so he wanted some basic aspects obviously explained. So if you are an experienced player or someone who knows the card games or someone who knows a lot of stuff, then yeah, you already know all of the knowledge or how to start, or you already went through the process. Also, as usual, I will just link to the Play to Win, because this book is amazing. I mean, this is the best recommendation, in my opinion, for anyone who is starting with the card games. So if you are starting with the card games, well, not card games, if you are starting with the games, that is the book that you have to read to instill the competitive mindset on yourself, and it's just gonna help you, because it's that good. But obviously this is like the beginning. This is the beginning of the series. There is a lot of recommended books in the recommended book sections, and well, if you like reading good books or like reading good books about, I don't know, self-improvement and mentality, then this is something that you're gonna head to. And yeah, it's gonna be the end for the stream tonight. So I had this session planned for now. Obviously, if you have any other questions, feel free to send them to me on, like, I don't know, my Facebook, my socials, my Twitter, whatever. Just reach out to me, and if you want your like own session, then you can private message me or go to GamerSense and order one. But well, I would recommend just reaching out to me first, because the Belgium program still offers like one free session for the GamerSense, and I paid once, so not everyone likes paying for stuff. But the quality of the session obviously depends on the player. So the more questions you have, the more stuff you want to be explained, then the more I can expand of the topics, etc., etc. So it goes like a blind circle, and that's it. So yeah, also thank you for coming. I hope you could learn something too, like the players, people on chat, like Facebook and Twitch. And also have a good day, good night, whatever. And yeah, good luck to you too in your adventures. So see ya. Probably tomorrow evening. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Bye.